Father bless, I only eat one meal a day, even when fasting, but I eat until I'm full and often have food left over and goes to waste. Is this gluttony or another type of sin? I'll tell you a story about St. Athanasius. Have you heard the story about St. Athanasius the Athonite? St. Athanasius the Athonite, there was of course, they ate together in the refectory, all together, the fathers, and St. Athanasius was a very large man. He's a big guy. And there was either revealed to him or made known to him that one of the fathers, one of the younger monks, was scandalized by how much he would eat. And of course, there was, everybody was fasting to a certain degree, but there were obviously meals, and there was meals on feast days and all the rest. And so I forget exactly how he learned of this, but he said, today in the refectory, everyone will eat until they can no longer eat. I want everybody to eat as much food as they can till they're totally and utterly filled. Their stomach is filled and they can't eat anymore. And that was kind of a strange, everybody's kind of thrown. And that's like obviously not what they're doing, because the teaching of the fathers is that we get up from the meal and always not fill our bellies, right? We leave before we're satiated. We leave halfway or 2/3 on the way to satiation. We don't stay until we're satiated. That's actually the ascetic practices. And you see this on Athos, for instance. I remember sitting, not always, not everybody's doing this, but I remember sitting across from one novice, and he and I would, when I was at the monastery for a while, and he would just immediately cut whatever was in his plate in half, put it into the jar. They have these bowls that, if you don't want food, they put it in the bowl so it doesn't go to waste. And so he would just cut his plate in half, and half of it would go right into the bowl. So he would eat whatever, half of whatever was on the plate. Not everybody did that, but he did that. So that's kind of the ideal. So today, on that particular day, the saint said, everybody eat until you're absolutely full. And so people started eating, and some finished fairly quickly, others a little bit later. Everybody was finished, and he was still eating, and he went on to his third and fourth and fifth and sixth, I think it was seventh, eighth plate, I forget the number. And everybody just stood in awe, because they then realized that when they were eating one plate and they were halfway through satiation, for him to arrive at that, he needed to eat 2 or 3 plates to get to where they were at in one plate. All right. So the point here is that the number, the amounts that you and I and everybody else is going to eat are going to differ. What we're struggling to do is, and I don't think a lot of us today in our society are very successful at this. I can't claim to be very successful, is that we actually get up from the table and we're not satiated. That's a goal we should have, right? But we can only understand that for ourselves and nobody else, right? So we leave all that to the amounts are relative. They're not going to be the same for everybody. So we should definitely not enter into judgment on anyone else. But the goal is that. So as far as gluttony goes, you're going to have to judge. Your conscience is going to tell you if you're being gluttonous, in the sense that you've eaten enough, you're almost full. Can you go on without getting totally full? Now you might say, well, then I'm going to go eat a second meal. Well, that might be preferable. Now I don't know. Maybe you need to have a tea and something in the morning, or maybe you have to have a snack at noon and something small. But that might be preferable than to sit down and totally fill yourself. As far as going to waste, food left over going to waste, yeah, I mean, try to avoid the waste. Absolutely. Try to avoid the waste. Don't make more food than you need. Maybe your eye is bigger than your stomach, and so you're making more food than you need, and that's to be avoided. So try to avoid that and try to get up from the table without being totally, utterly filled, according to the ascetic practices. Then you have to see how you can endure the rest of the day if you're only eating one meal. I bet you can endure. I bet you don't need to fill up your entire stomach to endure the rest of the day, but you'll have to see.